Karen Bergstrom joined the city of River Falls nearly 14 years ago as the Human Resources Director, she was able to build the city's Human Resources Department from scratch. Having worked in HR for another city as well as the private sector, she brought a wealth of experience as she helped establish the HR culture at River Falls. On this episode of the Kinni Cast, Karen shares more about the workplace culture at the city, talks about the importance of promoting a work-life balance, and reveals what her favorite question to ask prospective employees is in a job interview. All of that and more on a brand new Kinni Cast. Hi everybody, welcome back to a new episode of the Kinni Cast. My name is Tyler Mason. I'm the communications coordinator for the city and the host of the podcast. And I'm going to be on my best behavior today because Human Resources is in the room with me. I've got Karen Bergstrom, our HR director, joining us to talk HR, company culture, all good things like that. Karen, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Tyler. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for joining. It's fun to interview you. Now you interviewed me when I applied for the job, so the tables have turned, so
right,
it's fun.
Right.
Well, let's maybe start with you a little bit. What initially drew you to the world of human resources when you were starting out in that field?
So I actually sort of fell into it unplanned. I had taken an administrative role in international human resources at Honeywell like 30 plus years ago, so I'm dating myself. And I became very interested in all aspects of HR and what it takes to administer an international assignment with expatriates and impatriates. And so then I started heading down the path of HR. First in private sector, then I moved to nonprofit, and then eventually got into government.
Yeah, the international piece sounds pretty interesting. I imagine there's a little different than...
It was very interesting, and I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, you mentioned you eventually made your way to the city here. You've been about 14 years now that you've been with the city of River Falls. What initially drew you to the role here and to work for the city?
So I really wanted to end my career someday as an HR director. And the previous city that I was with, the director was the same age as me. So I'm like, okay, well, they're not going to be going anywhere. And my daughter went to UWRF here. And so we fell in love with the city. And then when the job opened up, I applied. I got it. I moved from Minnesota to Wisconsin and have been here since.
Is it quite a bit different, city government versus private sector when it comes to HR?
You know, it is. HR is HR. So we all have the same type of functionalities, you know, the compensation, the policies, the recruitment, the employee engagement, but there's specific laws and regulations that differ between each of those sectors.
Yeah, for sure. Well, when you look at the company culture here at the City of River Falls, how would you describe the culture of working for the city?
So I would say it's engaging, collaborative, flexible, and fun. We like to have fun.
When you were first started here, did any of that kind of stand out to you as something that was attractive for coming here? Actually,
I wasn't quite sure what to expect. They actually didn't have an HR department when I started.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I was the first HR employee, the first HR director, which made it really exciting because I was able to kind of create my own little niche at the city. And then at first, it was actually quite rigid. It wasn't flexible, and there was a lot of silos within departments. And so, but with the support of the city administrator, we've worked very, very hard, you know, over those years to take down all the silos, focus on cross-training, and having engaged and happy employees.
So you kind of talked about that shift and being able to establish that culture. How much pride did you take in kind of being able to help, you know, spearhead that and really set the culture here?
I feel like, you know, I kind of pat myself on the back a little bit with that because I feel like me working with the city administrator, it was really, you know, he was in full support, and we worked as a team, and we made it happen.
So what do you think surprises people the most when they start working for the city? I know for me, you know, local government, any kind of government was brand new, so I didn't fully know what to expect from that, and for others it might have been the same way. What do you think surprises people when they first join?
I think, and people have actually said this to us, that we really are true to how we describe our city culture when they interview. It's not just words, you know, that we're telling them to get them in the door. We don't ever have trouble recruiting. And that's because our reputation as a great city to work for, I believe, is well known.
I know the city is big on personal and professional development for its employees. For example, I've been able to go to conferences and do other kind of trainings, that sort of thing, to help my growth in my career, which has been awesome. What do you think those opportunities, or I should say, why do you think those opportunities are so important for our staff?
So the city administrator, he's always been a big proponent of education and training. And while we are a smaller city and there's not always upward movement available, we always support continued learning, and that could be in an employee's current line of work or position or department. And we also support if they have an interest in perhaps going to another department. So I feel like that's something that we've continued over the years, and it's been well received. We budget every year for all employees, to have development and training opportunities, whether that's getting their certificate program. We've got a tuition reimbursement program, and it's always encouraged.
Yeah. How different is that from maybe other city governments, or is that unique, or is that something you've seen in other places? I guess, how does that compare?
I think it's different, a little bit different. I think we value it more than other places, and I don't know if it's just because of size that we're able to set aside, budget and funds for people to have that continued learning. The city I came from was double in size, from River Falls, and the budgets for training and development were much, much smaller at that time.
Yeah.
So,
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned working for another city, and I'm curious, not from a work standpoint, but from just a community standpoint, what have you enjoyed most about this River Falls community in the 15 years that you've been here?
I really love the small town feel of this community versus the other community that I came from. We had to drive to everywhere when you're in a bigger city. Where here you can just take a break and walk downtown, go get a coffee, walk the paths along the river. I really, really enjoy that about working at the city of River Falls.
And I imagine the community in the city like that has changed since you first started too, a little bit?
Oh yeah. It's just, it just keeps, and the people are so friendly in River Falls. I don't know what it is, but I just feel like people are just kind of happy here. That's something that I really like versus, some of the bigger cities.
Sure, yeah, I would agree with that. So one thing that, I've certainly noticed since I've been here is that work-life balance and just the city and how they promote that. How does the city promote work-life balance and making sure employees are kind of factoring that into their day-to-day lives?
So we have a super generous PTO policy where we give all employees 6 weeks of PTO because we really feel it is important. And the way our policy is written, it encourages people to use that because it's not like they're saving those hours into some retirement account. It's like, no, you need to use it. We want you to take time off for yourself, for your family. So that's like really, really good when it comes to supporting work-life balance. We also have flex hours. We've got some remote work opportunities. If people have to drop off their kids in the morning and have a later start time, that's okay. We're totally good with that. So I just think the flexibility and the time off is great.
Yeah. I need to do a better job of taking more PTO. I didn't use all my PTO last year, so I gotta.
Oh, there you go.
I gotta practice what you're preaching right there.
Yes, for sure.
Well, why is working in local government meaning for you personally? You've now worked for 2 different cities, but what is it about local government that is meaningful to you, and what do you think it means to the staff here?
I think for me personally, my customers are the employees, and they are the ones that make the city run. They're the ones they're the face of the city and all good things happening. I feel like I'm kind of in the background helping to achieve that. And that's the role I like. That's the role I'm proud of.
Sure. When you hear from employees, maybe whether it's in their interviews or just talking to them, what do you think they value about just municipal government or working for the city?
It's kind of interesting you ask that because almost every time, with every application, with every job we post out there, the first supplemental question in the application is always, why are you interested in this position and working for the city? and they all say, we want to serve our community. You know, we want to have a part. We want to have a part in that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because I see it like all the time, but I think people really mean it.
Yeah. That was probably part of my answer when I applied, was just
Right.
wanted that community, that local aspect, and yeah,
Right.
something that I've appreciated, and even more so now that I've been here for a little bit. But
Yeah.
I think that's true for a lot of people here. So I'm curious, you've probably sat in on lots of interviews over the years, including mine.
Yeah.
But do you have a favorite interview question that you like to ask? People who are applying for the different jobs here.
I do. One of my favorite questions is, tell us about the best criticism you've ever received. And that always throws people off a tad, and they're like, I wasn't expecting that question. But you really get to kind of know a person by, okay, what did they hear? What was something, a previous manager or coworker or somebody, has told them that they could maybe do a little bit better at.
Yeah. Well, a few left here for you, Karen. If someone were considering applying for a job, and there's, frequently we do have job postings, you can check the city website, rfcity.org. There's a button on the homepage to see if we do have any openings for people who are interested. But if someone's interested in applying for a job with the city, what would you want them to know?
I've thought a lot about this question, and we have a great city administrator, and the support of mayor and council is unlike other cities that I know of. I've got a lot of peers out there that work for different cities. So it's really refreshing to work for a city like that has that kind of support, from those leaders. They trust all of us to do our jobs, so they're kind of not in the weeds with us, because they know we're the experts in our area, so that's really appreciated. We all work really hard, and we have fun doing it. I believe I can say for most, coming to work isn't a burden. It's rewarding. It's like, when you leave at the end of the day, you're like, wow, okay, I accomplished a lot. And I had a lot of laughs. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, last question here, and I ask everyone on the podcast this, and you mentioned yours is a little bit more kind of inward-facing of a role than others, but I think this still applies to you. What impact do you hope your work will have on the people of River Falls?
So I think that our city will, continue to grow and flourish under the expertise of all our wonderful, talented employees. Yeah, we just keep hiring. We hire the best. We don't settle. And yeah, I feel like we'll continue to move forward in that direction.
Sure. Well, Karen, for being on this side of the interview, we'll let you off the hook now. I know you normally ask them the questions in different interviews, but yeah, thank you so much for taking time to share more about you and about HR and about the city.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Kinni Cast with Karen Bergstrom, our HR director. If you don't already subscribe to the podcast, I'd recommend that you do that on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can also find it at our website, which, as I mentioned, is rfcity.org. Until next time, have a great day, River Falls. Thank you.